Hello and welcome to GameBabble. I'm your host, Jell. The Wii is a peculiar beast. While it's quite possibly one of the best-selling game systems of all time, being sold out 2 Christmases in a row and still is hard to find, the game selection leaves something to be desired. You've got a handful of great games from Nintendo, but outside of that, there's actually a very small selection of good titles, and it makes looking for anything not by Nintendo a bit of a crapshoot. So, because the system can't live on Super Mario Galaxy alone, I've got 2 awesome titles from the early in the Wii's life that you can pick up for probably 20 bucks from a bargain bin, and they're both kick-ass. Starting with, of course, quite possibly the best launch title on Wii, Excite Truck. Now, at first glance, Excite Truck looks like just another truck racing game. However, with its title, you know that it takes place in the wonderful world of Nintendo logic. So, while of course the fact that you tilt the Wiimote to steer is no surprise to anyone, tapping the D-pad will cause you to use your turbo boosts. However, boosting for too long will cause you to overheat, so pay attention to your heat gauge. Once you reach the edge of a jump, however, you can tap your turbo boost to do a super jump, sending you hundreds of feet into the air and your truck flying. If you land with all 4 wheels on the ground, you gain a massive speed boost. This makes jumping an integral part of the game. Making things even crazier is the exclamation points, which when grabbed will cause the terrain to violently shift, causing mountains to appear the fuck out of nowhere. Of course, allowing for bigger and crazier jumps. Needless to say, making massive jumps is key to getting first place. However, first place isn't the only thing you're aiming for. You see, in order to win, you want to gather stars, which you get not only by placing first, which will grab you a total of 50 stars, but also by ramming into other trucks, making massive jumps, weaving through trees, drifting, and just generally driving recklessly. This of course means that you're going to crash a lot. Thankfully, rapidly tapping the accelerator button will cause you to quickly regenerate, and thus crashing won't screw you over. So yeah, the game is quite crazy and over the top, making it one of the most enjoyable arcade-style racing games ever. And making things even better is the custom soundtrack. Yes, that's right, it's a Wii game with an actual custom soundtrack option. To do this, you just slap some MP3s onto an SD card, shove it in your Wii, and pick 'em. Unfortunately, nothing's perfect. The number of modes is kinda bare bones, so there's not too terribly much to do here. And, yeah. However, the real problem with the game would have to be the multiplayer, which is unfortunately one of the most important parts of any racing game. Multiplayer is only 2-player, and there are no computer trucks. And the frame rate and graphics take a massive hit. It makes the multiplayer almost completely pointless, and this undeniably hurts the game massively. Yet, despite this fact, I wanted to give the game a kinda highish score, but not quite. I was looking at a 3.7, but when I played it again to get the footage for this review, yeah, it's just too damn good, because I got re-addicted all over again. Excite Truck is quite possibly my favorite game on Wii. I absolutely adore it, and I gotta give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, you want Excite Truck. Now this next game, I know it's gonna sound crazy, I know you're not gonna believe me, but I'm being dead serious. Chicken Little Ace in Action. I am dead serious. Now of course you hear the name and you think that it's going to be based on a crappy Disney movie that no one cared about and will star Chicken Little. However, believe it or not, he is not the star of the game. You see, this game is actually a game within a game based on a movie within a movie. Long story short, the main character isn't Chicken Little, it's...
Thank you, Mr. Fish. Everyone just keep nodding.
Adam West as a chicken. Now, that alone is reason enough to buy the game. However, it's actually got some good gameplay. Mixing the gameplay of a platformer and a third-person shooter, it's, to be blunt, a Ratchet and Clank ripoff. However, it's a Ratchet and Clank ripoff with Wii controls, and good ones. I cannot stress how well thought out these controls are. And they are perfectly divided up and don't give you that confusing patting your head, rubbing your stomach feeling you get from some games that try to use Wii controls. All weapons controls are handled by the Wiimote, and all movement controls are handled by the nunchuck. To shoot, you simply point at what you want to shoot and press the B button. Your special weapon is executed by pressing the A button. Switching special weapons is the D-pad. Meanwhile, moving is done by moving the analog stick in different directions. Shaking the nunchuck will allow your character to roll, the Z button jumps, and the C button opens doors. A brilliant and well thought out control scheme that perfectly divides up the controls. Now everything isn't just on foot, there's also tank and spaceship missions, which add a little bit of variety to the gameplay. They generally control about the same. However, the spaceship missions will have you tilting your Wiimote backwards and forwards to go up and down, and will make you wish they would make a sequel to Descent for the Wii, because they really should, because these actually kind of rock. The end result is actually a game with a decent amount of gameplay variety and lots of fun gameplay. The graphics, while not spectacular, definitely are some of the better looking graphics on the Wii, despite it being simply a port of a PS2 game. It looks surprisingly decent and polished. What's more surprising, however, is the fact that the game is actually kind of funny. The characters are surprisingly likable, and there's a lot of parodying of video games and movies. Unfortunately, it's not all gold. There are a few rough edges here and there, which do bring the game down a little bit. First of all, there's the hacking sections, which are slow and boring and far too numerous, and will drive you insane, because you just can't rotate your shooter thing fast enough. Then there's also one mission where you use a gun turret, which is controlled with the nunchuck and again moves very slow. This is only a single mission, but it's still very, very annoying, and if this is what the PS2 version's controls are like, yeah, the PS2 one probably sucks. And there's other little hiccups and glitches here and there. Stuff like music just seeming to not start sometimes, or waiting until the middle of a mission to start, can occasionally happen, and generally the game lacks the polish and finesse of an actual Ratchet and Clank game. However, the Wii controls really make the game and make it a very enjoyable title. It's not perfect, it's got its flaws here and there, but overall, it's a very enjoyable Wii experience with great controls and one of the better Wii games I've played. I'm going to have to give this game a 3.5 out of 5. Seriously, you see this thing for around 20 bucks in a bargain bin, pick it up. I paid 40 for it full price, and I still liked it. It's a good title. And I am dead serious. Give Chicken Little Ace in Action a shot. Anyway, this is Gel, and you've been GameBabbled.
You wear a disguise to look like human guys, but you're not a man, you're a chicken boo.